I've had a lot of variations of this question, and I wanted to go ahead and address it because I don't want anybody to have anxiety or worry about this. There's this potential eruption that may happen in Iceland. There's a volcano outside of Mexico City that started erupting this morning. Mount Etna in Italy is erupting. There's another volcano in Italy that has some unusual earthquake activity. So are these things connected? No, they're not. And is this an unusual amount of activity? Also, no. At any given time, there's between 40 and 50 volcanoes erupting around the world. So this is a normal amount of activity. It's just happening at higher profile locations than usual. So Mexico City, there's tons of people. It's a famous volcano. The volcano outside of Sicily, these things are high profile, and so they get picked up by the news media. And then when other eruptions happen, because people are interested, they are more likely to report on that. There's another phenomenon that's happening called the frequency illusion. And I see this a lot with earthquakes too. Whenever there's a high profile volcanic eruption or a high profile earthquake, people become more prone to seeing other earthquakes or other volcanic eruptions that are happening around the world that they might not have paid attention to at other times. And this happens in our normal everyday life. It's part of our heuristics, or the way that our brains work, because gosh, we get so much information all the time and we have to filter it out. So a lot of things we just don't notice. Our brain just, lets it go. But the frequency illusion is this idea that once your brain has a reason to notice something, then it really starts to notice it. For example, let's say your friend buys a red car and you never really thought of anybody having red cars. Who buys a red car? But then you start noticing red cars and you see red cars everywhere and all the time. You're like, oh, is that my friend? Is that my friend? Are there more red cars than there used to be? Well, no, it's just that now your brain has a reason to recognize that thing. And so there's an illusion that the frequency has increased. So nobody needs to worry. There's not more volcanic eruptions than usual, and there's no reason to be concerned, unless perhaps you live in that poor town in Grandavik in Iceland where there's lots of earthquakes and a potential eruption. So, as with everything, don't be scared for what could happen, but prepare for it. I have to put in my little plug for earthquakes here because I am an earthquake geologist. Earthquakes can happen anywhere, so make sure you know what to do if you feel an earthquake. Drop down to the ground, take cover underneath a sturdy object, and hold on tight until all the shaking has stopped.